I walked through the front door carrying homemade cookies, the kind Dad always loved with chocolate chips and nuts. The house smelled like turkey and cinnamon. Everything seemed normal until I looked at the dining room. 7 chairs around the table. 7 plates set perfectly. But something felt wrong. I counted again. Mom, Dad, my brother Jake, his wife Amy, my sister Emma, her boyfriend David, and Uncle Rich. My spot was missing. I stood there holding my cookie tin, confused. Mom came over with a big smile. "Oh honey, you're here. We're doing immediate family only this Christmas." She took my cookies and walked toward the kitchen. I watched her put a plate down where I always sat, right next to Dad. That's where David was now sitting. My brother didn't look at me. My sister played with her phone. The room felt cold even though the fireplace was going. Mom believed Christmas meant doing things the same way forever. Same decorations on the tree. Same red tablecloth. Same candles in the windows. Everything looked exactly right, like a picture from a magazine. That made my chest hurt more. The house looked perfect, but I didn't fit in it anymore. I stood near the coat rack, pretending to fix my jacket while everyone talked and laughed. Emma wore a green sweater. I sent her that sweater for her birthday. David laughed really loud at something Uncle Rich said. It was the kind of laugh people do when they want others to like them. Mom moved around the kitchen, telling everyone what to do. "Can I help set anything else up?" asked, trying to sound okay. She waved her hand. "No, we're good, sweetie. Just immediate family tonight." She said it so easily, like telling me the weather outside. She wasn't mad. She wasn't being mean on purpose. She just decided. And that hurt worse than yelling would have. I looked at the table one more time. 7 plates. Mom, Dad, Jake, Amy, Emma, David, Uncle Rich. Uncle Rich started dating someone named Sandra 2 months ago. She was there too, actually. Plates. But not mine. My chair, the one I sat in since I was little, had David in it now. My name wasn't anywhere. The cookies I brought were pushed to the side. Emma saw me staring. Her smile went away for just a second. "I didn't know they weren't. I thought you were coming later," she said quietly. "Yeah," I said. "Maybe I should have called first." Nobody said I was wrong. For just a moment, I thought about grabbing a folding chair from the closet. We used to do that when cousins visited. But something inside me said no. Not anger. Just knowing. I spent so many years being the person who fixed things in this family. The one who sent money when bills were too high. Who helped before anyone even asked. I paid Emma's rent 3 times when she couldn't afford it. I paid for Dad's truck repair when it broke down. I bought the groceries when Mom said things were tight. I paid for the internet. I paid for the streaming shows everyone watched. I thought that made me part of the family. I thought helping meant belonging. But watching Mom put that last plate in front of David, I understood something new. It was never about being thankful. It was about what was easy for them. I wasn't family. I was a bank account. Mom wiped her hands and called everyone to sit down. Her voice was warm and happy, the voice she used when guests came over. I stood there a few more seconds, waiting to see if anyone would notice I wasn't sitting. Nobody did. So I smiled, fixed my scarf and said, "You guys go ahead and eat." Mom nodded like I just agreed with her plan. "We'll save you some turkey." I left before anyone remembered I brought the cookies. The cold air hit my face hard. Snow stuck to my hair and melted down my neck as I walked to my car. Behind me, the house glowed bright and warm like a Christmas card. Through the window, I could see Emma lifting her glass. David said something that made everyone laugh. Mom was smiling. From outside, it looked like the perfect family dinner. But inside that house was the quietest kind of hurt I ever felt. I sat in my car with the cookies on the seat next to me. My breath made fog on the windows. I told myself to drive away, but my hands just stayed on the wheel. The radio was still playing from when I drove here. Christmas song was on. "I'll be home for Christmas," the singer said. I almost laughed, but it wasn't funny. I started thinking about the last few years. Every time someone in that house had a problem, it became my problem. Emma's rent. Mom's electric bill. Dad's loan for fixing the basement. Nobody ever actually asked me directly. They just mentioned it and waited. And I always gave them money because that's what you do when you love people, right? You make their life easier. But I realized something sitting there in the dark. Love had become like buying something in our family. And I was the only one still paying. I could see it all written down on my computer at home. Under family, the money going out never stopped. Gift cards, subscriptions, emergencies that happened every single month. I told myself it was normal. I told myself it was love. But sitting in that car, I finally saw the truth. I was just keeping them comfortable while I got more and more tired. Another car's lights shined on me as it passed. For a second I saw myself in the window. Tired eyes. Yeah. Cookies nobody wanted. I wasn't angry yet. Anger would have been easier. What I felt was heavier and quieter, like something inside me finally shifted. I remembered something Mom told me when I was young. Emma needs more help. You're stronger. Back then I believed her. I thought being strong meant giving more and needing less. But being strong without saying no isn't being strong. Just letting people use you. Someone knocked on my car window. A kid from the neighbor's house waved and pointed at the snow piling up. I nodded and started the car. The heater turned on, making a low humming sound that filled the quiet. As I backed out of the driveway, I looked at the house one last time. Mom was leaning close to David, laughing at something. Her hand was on his shoulder. She looked proud. She never looked at me that way. The snow got heavier as I drove onto the main road. My wipers went back and forth, slow and steady like a clock ticking. People say staying quiet keeps everyone happy. But in my family, staying quiet was how you disappeared. That night I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just drove home and made a promise to myself. I would never pay money to sit at that table again. When I got back to my apartment, it was midnight. The kind of cold that gets inside your bones and stays there. I put the cookies on the counter and stood there for a minute, my coat still halfway on, my shoes still wet. The quiet felt honest. No fake laughing. No Christmas music trying to make everything seem okay. Just the sound of my fridge humming and the clock ticking on the wall. I poured myself some water and looked at my reflection in the dark window. Tired eyes. Red nose. A person who finally stopped pretending. My phone buzzed. Then Emma. Then Dad. 15 messages came in one after another, like they were blaming me for something. I didn't open any of them. Instead, I sat down at my desk and opened my laptop. The screen made the room glow blue. My budget app was still open from last week. Family expenses, it said. Felt like a sad joke now. Blick. The money I sent Mom and Dad every month stopped. Blick. Emma's car payment cancelled. Blick. The Prime account ended. Blick. Netflix logged out on all their devices. Each click sounded like turning off a light switch. Not to be mean, but to finally take care of myself. I didn't write them a note. No big announcement. No explanation. Just quiet. Just boundaries where there used to be noise. Another message came through. Are you seriously doing this over one dinner? Closed the laptop. I made coffee instead, even though it was late at night. The smell filled my apartment and made me feel calm. I held the warm cup in my hands. 4 years I was the backup plan. The helper. The one who never said no. Tonight I said no without using any words. A memory came back to me. Mom in the kitchen when I was little, telling Emma she was creative and special. Then she looked at me. And you're the practical one. You'll keep everything working. Back then I thought she was saying something nice. Tonight it sounded like a job I never agreed to do. My phone buzzed again. Then someone rang my doorbell. I didn't get up. Whoever it was could wait outside in the snow. I drank my coffee and stared at the cookies on my counter. They had cooled down. The chocolate smell was fading into something almost bitter, like sweetness that waited too long. For the first time in forever, I wasn't worrying about who might need me or who might be disappointed. My apartment felt small, but it was mine. I turned off the lights, leaving just the glow from my laptop. On the screen, my bank account looked lighter than it ever had before. People think revenge is loud and dramatic. But sometimes it's just the sound of one final click in an empty room. The next morning, the knocking started before the sun came up. Sharp and impatient, the kind of knocking that expects you to obey. I let it continue longer than I should have, watching the shadow move behind the door. When I finally opened it, Mom and Emma were standing there. Their coats weren't even buttoned. Snow was in their hair. They looked like they'd been angry for hours. "What did you do?" Mom asked before even saying hello. "No good morning. No Merry Christmas. Just blame." I leaned against the doorframe. "Good morning to you too." Her voice was tight and sharp. "Why didn't the money come through?" "My grocery card didn't work. Emma can't pay for her car. You canceled Prime." "You're being mean." I looked at her face. The same face that used to check if I had a fever when I was sick. Now it just looked angry. "Mean," I said quietly. "For paying for my own things instead of everyone else's." "You weren't uninvited," she snapped back. "It was just a smaller dinner. With a plate for David," I said. "He's part of Emma's future," she said, crossing her arms. "We didn't think you'd get so upset about it." Then she said something that cut deeper than anything else. "You don't have a husband or kids. You make good money. It's your job to help this family while Emma is starting her life." Emma didn't disagree. She just looked down at the ground, her face red. Something inside me clicked into place. Quiet. Final. 4 years, I'd been trying to fit into a role they'd already changed. They didn't forget about my chair. They gave it to someone else on purpose. "I'm done," I said. Mom blinked, surprised by how calm I sounded. "You're starting a fight." "I'm making a boundary," I said. "If you think it's a fight, that's your problem." Her mouth twisted. "Don't act like you're doing something good. You're abandoning your family." "No," I said softly. "I'm just refusing to keep paying for one." The silence after that was long. Long enough for the snow on their coats to start melting. Emma tried to say something, her voice shaking. "Don't make this ugly." "It already is ugly," I said. "I just stopped pretending it's not." Mom sighed and changed her tone. "You'll regret this. One day you'll need us." "If that day comes," I said, stepping back, "I hope you answer the door." They left without saying anything else. Their footsteps crunched down the hallway. The air felt lighter after I closed the door. For the next few days, my phone was like a war zone. Dozens of texts, some begging, some angry, some trying to make me feel guilty by acting concerned. I muted the group chat and turned off my notifications. Quiet felt good. Then on January 3rd, I got a message from a number I didn't expect. David Martinez. No hello. Just one sentence and a file attached. "I don't know if I should send this, but you need to hear it." It was a voice recording. At first, all I heard was background noise. Forks clicking. Christmas music. Chairs scraping. Then I heard voices. Uncle Rich. "So how's the martyr doing?" Mom laughing. "Probably crying like we ruined her wedding." Emma. "She'll get over it. She always does." Dad's voice quieter. "At least now we can have a holiday without her acting better than us." Sandra. "She always tries too hard. The gifts. Clothes. It's exhausting." Everyone laughed. Then David's voice, unsure. "You know she can probably hear you guys through the door, right?" The recording went silent after that, like guilt suddenly showed up. When it ended, I just sat there with my phone in my hand. My coffee got cold next to me. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. The hurt I felt was colder than that. Clean, like a cut from something sharp. Second message from David came through. "I'm sorry. I didn't know they talked about you like that. I told Emma it was messed up. She got mad at me. I moved into the apartment after New Year's. It's bad here." I stared at his words. The man who took my seat was the only one honest enough to tell me the truth. That felt strange. For days, I tried not to listen to that recording again. I couldn't help it. Every laugh, every mean word. It burned itself into my memory. But anger, when it stays too long, turns into something clearer. So when the next knock came a week later, quieter this time, I was ready. Again. Emma behind her with dark circles under her eyes. The kitchen caught fire, Mom said, her voice shaking. It's really bad. We need help until the insurance pays us. I didn't move from the doorway. Is everyone okay? Yes, she said quickly. We just need a little help to get through this month. There it was again. Not thank you. Not we're safe. Just asking for money. Always asking. I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out an envelope. Mom's face softened. She looked hopeful, relieved. When she opened it, her face changed. Inside was a single $20 bill. What is this supposed to be? She asked. That, I said, is what my seat at the table was worth. The silence that followed felt thick and heavy, like snow about to fall. Emma whispered, "That's not fair." Neither was Christmas, I said. Mom's voice got sharp again. You're being spiteful. No, I said calmly. I'm being consistent. I put the envelope on the table next to some burned recipe cards and turned to leave. You don't have to be like this, Emma called after me. I stopped at the door. Like what? Cold. I looked at her. You called me cold when I stopped paying your heating bill too. She said nothing. Outside, the wind bit at my face. The air was sharp and clean. I walked to my car, each step crunching through the snow like punctuation marks at the end of a sentence. At home, I lit a candle, made tea, and sat by the window. The city was quiet. The kind of stillness that only comes after a storm passes. My phone buzzed. Another message from Mom. Then Dad. Please. It's family. I turned my phone face down on the table. Family shouldn't sound like someone demanding something from you. The next morning, David showed up at my door. His eyes looked tired. His hands were shoved deep in his jacket pockets. I moved out, he said. Couldn't stay there anymore. He pulled out another envelope and handed it to me. Receipts, statements, my name printed at the top of every page. She opened a credit card in your name, he said quietly. About $7,000 in charges. She said you'd understand. That you'd never report it because you're family. I felt something inside me go completely still. Not surprised. Just confirmed. Why are you telling me this? Yes. Because it's wrong, he said. And because I couldn't keep pretending anymore. When he left, I spread all the papers across my desk. Restaurant bills. Hotel stays. A baby stroller from an expensive store. $7,000 of proof that they used me. That night I called my bank. Then I called a lawyer. The process was slow and boring, lots of paperwork. But with every signature, every form I filled out, I felt lighter. 2 days later, Emma texted, "You don't have to make this worse." The next day, Mom called. We don't call the police on family. But we should, I thought. Because staying silent had protected them for too long. When the police contacted Emma about the credit card, the calls stopped. All the noise finally ended. Weeks later, my lawyer called. It's confirmed. Your name is cleared. Account closed. Justice didn't come with fireworks or celebration. Came with paperwork and peace. That night, I sat by the same window, watching my candle flicker low, and whispered to myself, "The debt is paid." March came quietly. The snow started melting on the sidewalks, leaving gray slush and the smell of wet ground. My phone stayed silent. No more calls. No more guilt dressed up as love. I thought I'd miss all the noise, but peace has its own rhythm. Coffee brewing. The heater humming. The sound of me laughing at something on TV. One afternoon my lawyer called. Everything's done. The account is cleared and the bank said they're sorry for the delay. After we hung up, I just sat there for a while, listening to nothing. It felt strange knowing that after months of stress, there was no next crisis waiting for me. Poured coffee. The smell filled my apartment. I looked out the window. The city was waking up. Pale sunlight caught the puddles where snow used to be. My phone buzzed once. Voicemail from Dad. I hesitated, then pressed play. His voice was softer than I remembered. "Hey, kiddo. I don't know if you'll listen to this, but I need to say it. You were right. We treated you like a safety net. When you finally walked away, everything fell apart. Your mom's not ready to admit it. Well, she's Emma. But I see it now. We built a family that only talked when it needed something. Sorry. I hope someday you'll talk to us again. Not for money. Just to talk. The message ended with him breathing out, like relief and regret mixed together. I didn't cry. I just smiled a little and saved the voicemail. Not to listen again, but to keep proof that some truths finally land. Then I opened my notebook, where I'd written every dollar, every favor, every quiet act of generosity, and I added one last entry. The debt is paid. When I closed it, the sound felt final, like locking a door. Outside, the snow was completely gone. That evening, I washed the cookie tin that had sat untouched since Christmas and put it back in the cupboard. My kitchen smelled like coffee and something sweet. That's what peace smells like when it finally has room to breathe. I sat by the window with tea, watching the last bits of snow dissolve under the streetlights. For years I thought family meant enduring pain. Now I know it means making a choice. I came home for Christmas once. But I found something better than a seat at their table. Found my own peace. If you've ever been left standing where your chair should have been, tell me in the comments. You're not alone. And don't forget to subscribe to Flex Revenge Unfold for the next story.